Okay, I'm going to do a review of the OnePlus 7 Pro after 14 plus months of usage. I originally got this phone when it came out, which was around May, end of May, I believe, of 2019. It is now August 11th, 2020, so you can do the math on that. It's been basically a little over 14 months, so I thought I'd do a review. You know, you normally see all these reviews, and then they just, you know, when they're new, but here it is. I've had this one 14 months. That's by design. I normally would always buy when I got a new smartphone. I'm a tech nerd, so I love smartphones. I always want the newest, latest. But I would always, you know, control myself and buy like the Samsung flagship for like $400 a year after it came out. You can't even really do that anymore. They're more expensive than that, but you know, this would have been 2015, 2016, so forth. I could usually get the Samsung flagship on a sweet hot deal from the Slick Deals forum, which I mention I think every video on this thing because it's where I pretty much get all my electronics. But I'd find some hot deal for like $400 for this. I think the last Samsung flagship I had was the S8 Plus. So about 2-3 years ago. And I can't remember what all I had. Yeah, I think I got this one right after the S8 Plus. So, and so I splurged, and I never have spent a ton on a phone. And I ended up spending almost $800 on this because I got the $750 version. And then I got, then whatever. I don't think they charged me tax, actually, crazy enough. But I got a little screen protection plan. They were selling 6 months. I didn't want, if my screen broke in 6 months, it's supposedly covered. I'm not sure how good this place was. I didn't really trust them. But it was like $17 or something when you bought the phone. I don't even remember. So I tacked it on there. It was Oneplus was offering it. Not Oneplus themselves, but you know, through a third party. So I grabbed the screen protection plan because I figured if I get my brand new phone and the screen breaks within 6 months, at least I'll be covered. Because I know after 6 months, the new device feel will have worn off. I wouldn't be so heartbroken if the screen got broke. But within 6 months, anyways, long story. I put the keep the screen alive here. So altogether, I think it was like $778 after tax because they were selling, I think, the 6 GB RAM and 128 GB storage version for $669. For like $700 was the 8 GB RAM and 256 storage, maybe, or it may have been 8 and 128. But I think it was 8 and 256. And then for $750, you could get the 12 GB RAM and 256 GB storage version, which is the one you see here, the one I got. And my thinking was kind of, I'm spending all this money. It's like the first time in my life I've ever splurged to have the state-of-the-art smartphone right when it came out, because as I said, I bought it pretty much right when it came out, which is a little dangerous because you never know if there's bugs or something like that. It was first revision hardware. But so I figured if I spend like $700, why not spend $50 more? You know, it's less than 10%, you know, and be fully happy with that. I got the latest and greatest rather than try to pinch a few pennies. And, you know, so I got the 12 GB 256 storage. I still remember a couple years ago, I was talking to an acquaintance, and he was talking about his new iPhone and how it had 256 storage. You had to pay like, you know, $1,400 or something at that time for it. This was probably, I don't remember when, but you know, 2, 3, 4 years ago. And you know, it was like at that time, I think my phone probably had 64 gig storage, and I was, man, 256, that's crazy. You know, he was talking about, oh, you know, this way I can put all the pictures of my kids on it, whatever. And I don't have to worry about it. And I think with iPhones, they don't have expandable storage anyway. So I just remembered thinking at that time, wow, 256 gigabytes is crazy. Like, yeah, this guy really spent a lot for his phone. Well, here not too long later, and I was able to get myself a 256 gigabyte phone. It's kind of nice. Funny thing is, I actually do use more of the storage than I think. Now, I don't really come close to using it because if I deleted all the videos and stuff, like I shoot videos like this one I'm shooting right here on this phone a lot. It's maybe like a 30-minute video I'm uploading to YouTube. Then I may not delete it or forget to delete it. So if I just delete those, take out the majority of space probably. So 256 gigabytes is plenty for me. Plenty. 128 would be fine. 64 would probably even be fine, but 120. Nowadays, you're getting to be where 256s. I mean, 128 is probably nice to have. Now, what do I think about this phone for the year? I took it out of its case. I normally always have it in a case. Right now, I just picked up this new case, which is Spigen, off of Amazon for like 15 bucks, because the case I had finally started wearing out a little bit and breaking along the seams. The one thing I don't love about this Spigen, I do like that it's very svelte and compact. It doesn't seem to have enough of a lip on it to me to really protect it, I don't think, if it falls. But I'm just going to hope it doesn't fall, and I'll probably stick with it. Compared to the old one I had a little more of a lip. I don't remember what brand it was. It was some Amazon China special, but it worked pretty good. I specifically got it because it had like one of the biggest lips I could see without still being like too clunky. And that case, it has dropped a couple times from like, not a huge drop, but like 2-3 feet. And thank goodness it has not cracked yet. And I guess that prior case I had may have been the reason, but you never know why. It was just the way the phone fell, or if it was the case doing a good job, or, you know, you just don't know. But for what it's worth, it did survive a couple of decent falls with that case. So it may have been the case, and we'll see how. I'm kind of afraid of the first time it falls, you know, from a foot or two. With this case, it may not survive, but there's always two sides to any case, though. More protection means less, you know, livability on a day-to-day basis and less niceness, you know. But, so what do I think about the phone after a year plus? For the most part, I like it a lot. I do like it a lot. I'll say that. I just like it a lot. There's nothing much to say about it. It's powerful. I know it's got the Snapdragon 855, which isn't the newest chipset anymore, but it'll last for, you know, a good another couple years here at least. I planned to, when I spent $800 almost on this phone, I planned, hey, I've got to discipline myself, not go out and buy the newest phone. Keep this phone for a couple years. You spent too much on it to just get rid of it in 1 year or whatever. So, you know, like I said, so far so good. 14 months. I'm already getting the itch. I want a Pixel 4a. They look so cute to me, and I've started to desire a small phone because this sucker's big in your pocket, you know. So, you know, it's big. It is what it is. That's the trade-off you get for having a huge screen to watch stuff on and things like that on your phone. It's nice in that respect, but the flip side is that it's big in your pocket, you know. So I have been kind of getting attracted to a small phone lately. I think I may try one of these years. And so I saw the Pixel 4a came out recently, and I'm really attracted. I'm still thinking about selling this. I see on Swappa they're going for maybe $400. So if I could get $400 out of it, then I could get the Pixel 4a for quote-unquote free. And I could use the Pixel 4a for like at least a year. And it would be the same as if I kept this for another year, you know what I mean? That would meet my keeping this for at least 2 years goal. But it would definitely be a step down because this is more powerful than the Pixel 4a. It's got way more RAM. I do like that I splurged on the 12 gigabyte to this day because, you know, whatever else is going on with this phone, RAM's not limiting it. You know, I think that's great. You know, this phone could probably go strong for another 3 to 4 years, you know. It's got plenty of RAM, you know. I really like that. I feel like I kind of refreshed it recently. I kept the same screen protector that Oneplus applies from the factory, which is a plastic one, which is good because I don't like tempered glass screen protectors. I don't think they work. And regardless, they always crack so easy that your phone's always cracked anyway, so what the hell is the point? But I was never a fan of plastic ones either. But recently on my S8 Plus, I noticed something. I had that for like a year and a half, 2 years also. I don't remember exactly. But I noticed that that the oleophobic coating. So I always went with no screen protector at all, and I always poo-pooed people who use screen protectors. Oh, those don't do anything, you know. Gotten a lot of arguments online about it because there's all these fanboys that'll tell you tempered glass screen protectors keep your phone cracking. I don't really believe that if it falls and all this. But regardless, so I always go screen protectorless, plastic but this one came with a plastic screen protector, and I'm glad because my S9 Plus or S8 Plus that I had for a long time, I noticed like that the oleophobic coating had started to wear off, and how I just noticed it was the screen became a lot more fingerprint prone over time. It started to get, man, like greasy fingerprints were always all over the screen. It's something I really noticed over after the phone got to be a year plus year old, you know. like, man, there's always greasy fingerprints on this dang phone. Because what had happened is they call it an oleophobic coating that they coat the plastic with, the screen with, when your phone's new. So it makes it where your fingerprints don't adhere to it as much. It's just a protective coating. But over a long enough time, naturally, it'll kind of wear down. So like I said, that was the first time I'd ever noticed a phone where it started wearing off. And I actually noticed how greasy and fingerprint prone that S8 Plus was getting over the time. So after that, I decided plastic screen protectors are a good idea because you put that on and you're not touching your oleophobic coating. You're just touching the plastic screen protector, which I assume has its own oleophobic coating. So, it's a case of once that screen protector oleophobic coating goes bad, just put a new one on. It's cheap, and then your screen underneath is always staying pristine, and presumably the oleophobic coating on that will stay strong, which would be good value if you ever want to resell it or something like that. But anyways, the screen protector, it comes with one from the factory, and it had gotten a little, I didn't realize how bad it had gotten. It had gotten kind of just a lot of beat up, and so I recently put the new screen protector on. It was the first time I was ever able to figure out how to put a screen protector on well. And I just did it. I'm actually really not proud of it, but happy about it. Finally figured out the stupid instructions to put a plastic screen protector on for the first time nicely. You see, I changed the background wallpaper to something cool. So now, to me, it kind of feels like a whole new phone. It looks a lot cleaner with the new screen protector on it. The display is much sharper because the old one was all greasy and torn up. And now it's got a fresh, perfect one on. And so it looks like a brand new phone to me. And I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, I don't care how good any device is, you're going to get bored of it. So, you might think I'm not knocking the phone. I think it's amazing. I love it for the most part. I have very few issues. But I am bored of it like you would be of any phone. So I do kind of want the Pixel 4a. Will I actually go buy the Pixel 4a? That I don't know. Like I say, you see it's still very fast, very smooth, It's got the 90 hertz display, so it's extra smooth. Great phone, huge screen, all you could ask. Are there any, I like the camera a lot too, to be honest. Now, I'm not big on phone cameras at all, and I don't give a crap about them, and I'm always bashing reviewers who talk about the camera so much. But I do, for what it's worth, I think it's a high-end camera to me. People say it's not as good as a Samsung or an Apple, but I think it is. I can't tell the difference, and I just really like it. It's intuitive. It has, the first time I've noticed, it has a scroll, you can telephoto in and out real easy with the scroll wheel. I don't know why. It's just, I just noticed it on this phone, and I like it. To me, the pictures are great. That's one of the advantages of having an high-end phone. You should have nice pictures, and I feel like it does that. Even now. Compared to the latest and greatest, whatever, I think it's a great camera. I can really tell it's I've had some people comment on it that, the pictures look really nice. So for me, I really like the camera. I don't care what people say that it's not as good as a Samsung or Apple. I think it is. I like the software, just that little scroll wheel, telescopic thing. You can scroll anywhere from, 0.5x to however many x. You can zoom in or out. And I think it's telescopic, not digital. I don't know a lot about photography, but it has multiple camera lenses on the back. So yeah, it's fast. It's great. Issues. There's only a couple, about 3 that I can think of offhand. One is when I first few months I owned it, it was doing a black screen thing. And what that was you'd be using it normal, set it down on the counter or something, you'd pick it up and the screen was black. And the first time it happens, you'll be scared to death because you can't do anything to jolt the phone out. Normally the solution to something like that is to reboot the phone. Or the very first time I thought it happened, I thought maybe the only other time a device acts like that, where it's totally dead, nothing, you can't do anything to it, is when the battery's completely run down. You know what I mean? But I knew that wouldn't be the case because it wouldn't have run down, even though the battery was a little low at the time. I knew it wouldn't have run all the way out that fast. But so I charged it, and it didn't respond to the charger at all, or put it on the charger. And man, at first it's scary because you're like, man, I can't, it doesn't matter how many times I jam on the power button. You're like, this phone is completely dead. Like any data I have on there, contacts, pictures, whatever, it's gone. There's nothing I can do. This phone is completely dead. So it's scary like the first time it happens to you. But then I Googled about it and I found out that it was a common problem with the OnePlus 7 Pro at launch. And that in order to get it to boot from this dead state, kind of like a cold boot, you just press down on the power button for 10 seconds and the power button at the same time. You hold down and the power button together for 10 seconds and it will force it to boot. And sure enough, that worked. Now, it's still scary though, and it was annoying me because, here was my new expensive phone. It was having this problem. I did a lot of research online about it and basically found out that it's, OnePlus never really talked about it, of course. Typical gigantic corporation. They didn't want to acknowledge it. And not all models had it, apparently. I was worried it was a hardware flaw, because if it was a software flaw, okay, they can patch that. If it's a hardware flaw, though, that's a much bigger issue, Long story short, it didn't happen very often, though. It happened like once every 2 to 3 weeks, I'd say. Maybe once a month. It happened 5 or 6 times, and maybe like the first... I don't remember, but I can tell you that it did not happen very often. I would say, like I said, once every 2 to 4 weeks, maybe. And once you know that you can just hold down the power button and the volume down button for 10 seconds and it'll reboot, it becomes not such a big deal. But it was still very annoying, or just because I want my devices to be perfect, But then I would continued reading up a little bit, like checking in, let's say, over time. On the OnePlus 7 forums, there was a thread about it, and they were saying, like, once they got the update to Android 10, it seemed to be fixed. So, I was like, all right, I'll wait for that. Even though OnePlus never acknowledged it, they never put it in patch notes or anything. But, sure enough, what happened was, with the update to Android 10, I've never had the problem again. Not to say it couldn't happen tomorrow, But it's been like, I think, like 6 months since this happened or more. So I consider it a solved issue. It's such an inconsistent thing. Nothing in particular would trigger it. And, like it was so infrequent that, what I mean? It was hard to pin down even when it was happening. But it hasn't happened in, I don't know, 9 months, a long time. Whenever, actually, I don't know when. It hasn't happened at least since the phone got the Android 10 update. Maybe even a little earlier than that, because since, like I said, it only happened like once a month sometimes. It may have been a month or two before then, just naturally where it didn't happen. And then I got the update and it never happened since then, I don't know. But so that's been solved, so I consider that a solved problem. But that was a problem that did plague the phone, and OnePlus didn't talk about it. There was some, if you Googled like OnePlus 7 Pro black screen, you'd find some people on Reddit and OnePlus forums talking about it. But, so I was kind of scared of that. And that is a knock on the phone that happened at all. But luckily, like I said, I kind of had to make a decision at some point. Like, do I want to return this phone? Because the fact that once every 3 weeks or something, it gets a black screen, basically crashes, becomes completely unresponsive. Like I said, you can't do anything in that state. You can't wake it. You can't power button to do anything. It's completely dead. Very scary. When you put it on a charger, it doesn't react, The only thing that makes it wake up is the power down and the hold the power button for 10 seconds thing. But even then I had to make a decision, and I decided this happens infrequently enough. I can probably live with it, even though it's not. I really don't like it, And then like I said, since Android 10 updates never happened again, so I'm considering it a solved issue right now. It hasn't happened in ages, so I'm good. I believe I did somewhere in my Googling, extensive Googling about it. It was some sort of issue with the, like the sleep, like you deep sleep, waking type of, what I mean? Which makes sense. Somewhere deep in the power management, it was, having some bug down there. And so they probably fixed it in the Android 10 update. It probably wasn't the easiest thing in the world to fix, So that was issue 1. Second issue is the screen was not like the brightest, and it's plenty bright and it's plenty fine indoors. Even the only time I noticed it is outdoors, And I would say when I had my S8 Plus prior to this, I could crank the brightness all the way up on that and you could see it really good on a sunny day. This immediately struck me as not as good. You know, I could crank the brightness all the way. I could turn the auto brightness on, which normally gives you an extra bump of brightness, even above maximum manual. And it was not, maybe it's because the screen is bigger and so it kind of washes out. I don't know exactly, but it did not strike me on a subjective level as bright outside as the S8 Plus. And I think a few reviewers mentioned that too, so it likely wasn't just me. Now, how much does this matter? Very little. Even manually, you know, the only time you probably notice it is if you're in bright sunlight outside, which is rare. And you can still see the phone enough to use it, even in that case. But like I said, I did notice a seeming downgrade from my Samsung S8 Plus brightness, maximum brightness outside in sunlight. So there's that. The reviews, I think, said, some of them said it got to like 700 nits, some of them said it got to like 1,000. So 1,000 is like really bright and as bright as the Samsung. So I don't know why, if that's the case, why it subjectively appears to me to be a little dimmer in direct sunlight than my previous Samsung flagship. But I do know some reviewers also mentioned it, so I believe it's definitely a thing. It wasn't just me. But like I said, that's such a, you know, how often are you in bright sunlight? Okay, maybe it's not the best phone if you're a construction worker or something. But even then, it's fine. You know, it's usable in bright sunlight. It just wasn't quite as like nice and bright outside as my S8 Plus was on maximum brightness, I'd say. But it's still usable and it's fine. And this situation comes up so little and it's plenty bright. I've found any OLED to me subjectively gets really bright. It's only LCDs that subjectively to me have any brightness issue at all indoors. You know, any OLED to me is like really bright indoors. And this one's no exception. It's great, you know, it's bright, it's vivid. But it's not as bright outside as my previous Samsung flagship. But I believe like the 7Ts are bumped up in brightness to where they're, you know, matching. So if you get one of those, you'll be fine. And this one's fine too, like I said. It's just not quite as bright. But 99% of scenarios, who cares? What else? I know there was like a third, probably the third issue is just that the screen is curved. And that's like not the in favor thing anymore. Although most flagships it still is. And I think it's a fairly aggressive curve. I don't know, you be the judge. I guess like some of the new Samsungs are not curved as aggressively anymore. So that is a little annoying because it is kind of bad. And it's just not the style as much anymore. But having said that, it still looks nice and it's still, you know, so great. I wish it had at least a slight, less curve, you know, but it's not a problem. I don't know what else really to say about it. I really like it. I got the blue one. That was the only color they had. I probably would have got the black, but that was the only color they had for the 12 gigabyte version that I got. I would show you the back, but it has like the sticker with the IMEI number on it, and I don't want to show that because I know how people are on the internet. They'll probably hack me or something. I should probably peel that sticker off, but it has, I think it has extendable storage. I really don't even want to steer anybody wrong on that because I'm not sure. I think it has like a dual SIM slot too, but again, I don't want, I did want to bring up how fast it charges. I think this is one of the first phones with the included charger anyway. To me, it was way faster than my S8 Plus. I mean, it charged like there's a quantum leap in charging speed. It's still really nice. You pop it on the charger. I'm sure there are faster charging phones now, but to me, it was one of the first that I ever saw that was like so fast to charge. I mean, it's a really nice thing when you can just pop your phone on a charger for like 15 minutes, and it's like half, you know? Like if you were at 16%, it's going to be at 66%. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers of how fast it charges. I can tell you it charges really fast on the stock charger. Now, if you're just using some random Walmart wall wart or something, and I think you have to even use the right the cable that they included with it. Although why that matters, I don't know. But as long as you're using the included charger, it's so fast to charge, and you know that's a great thing. Like I said, you can pop on there for 15 minutes or something and get a ton of charge back. Battery life is fine for me. I think it's good. I think it's good. I wouldn't even say fine. I'd say good. And I run the 90 hertz. You know, you have a choice between running the screen 90 hertz or 60 and saving a little battery. I run the 90 hertz since I've owned it, and I still consider the battery life fine to good. You know. What else do I need to cover? I swear I had something. See, this is why I really need to start scripting my videos, because I always forget something and then I'm sitting here thinking about it. What am I forgetting? Oh, sleepy. What am I forgetting? I don't know. It's great, you know, it's fast. Speaker's good. It had the, like, where they don't know, they didn't officially have water resistance, but yet there's videos when everybody reviewed this phone, the hip thing to do was to do the review with the phone sitting in a big clear jug of water next to the reviewer with a timer running. Basically to prove that all the seals are in there for water resistance, basically, but they just didn't want to pay the certification agency to get an IP rating on it. Allegedly, that's how the rumor goes. And there was a teardown website that showed that, I think Jerry Rig everything, multiple websites probably tore it down, and it has all the seals everywhere that it's water resistant. So that's a nice thing to know, even if you can't really trust it as much because it's not IP rated. And I'm not, but yeah, it's nice to know that it does have that. What else? I don't know what to say. It's a great phone for sure. Software updates have been fine. I wish they'd get a DeX type mode like Samsung. Not that I would ever use it, but I just like the idea. And now that you can hook it to you could hook some mode like that, like DeX, to an external monitor, and run it like a PC sometime in a pinch, I suppose. That would be nice to have. And I thought OnePlus was developing something like that, but I haven't heard about it. I think Android 10 or Android was, or Google was in just Android. So it won't be up to the manufacturers, but I'm not sure what's going on with that. Or I'm still struggling. My monitor clicked back on. It has like a double. Oh, I know what it was. Here's what I said the last 5 minutes filibustering was that this reminded me that it doesn't have an always-on display. And there's been rumors for a long time that OnePlus is working on it. They originally, I think they said something it would affect battery life too much. But why does Samsung have that? You know, and everybody else have that, and they don't. I don't know. That is a little annoying. Granted that I don't use the on-screen display, always on display anyway. But I know some people do, like my brother uses it all the time. I think as part of his job or something. You know, he always wants his phone to have the time and stuff up, or Spotify controls or something. So, yeah, actually, do they have Spotify controls on always? I don't know. For some reason, he considers it like a deal breaker that OnePlus 7 phones don't have the on-screen display. Me, I don't care really, but it will be nice if they ever get it. Just as another thing to play with, which I think rumor is they are about to with the Android 11 update, perhaps, or something. I don't know. Kind of a shame they never had it up till now, because like I said, it doesn't make sense. They said the reason was battery life, I think. At least I read somebody else said they said that, so I can't confirm it, but if that's the case, it's like, okay, so Samsung can pull this off, but somehow OnePlus can't. Weird. Yeah, so that's another minor detriment to me. I don't mind it. I will say the clock app, if I'm thinking of detriments, is a little weird. Just how I don't love their clock app. It's not super intuitive to set the alarm. It has like a big analog face, and you move the needle to set it, and you like press, but it has like a digital time at the top, and like if you're doing minutes for the alarm, you touch the minutes, and then you change the analog dial to where you want. It's not the most intuitive thing. It's hardly a deal breaker and not a big deal, but I don't know, for some reason for me, I haven't used the Samsung clock app lately to say if it's better or worse. Maybe they're just as bad. But for me, the clock app is not ideal on it. It's fine, you know, but like I said, it's just a little weird every time I set the alarm, and I always get confused. That's about all I got to say, I guess. I love the phone. It's awesome. I am kind of bored of it, but I get bored of every device. you're always going to get bored of what phone you have. You know, I was bored as heck of the Samsung phones by the time I got rid of them every time, you know. I do kind of want a Pixel 4a, but I don't know. It'd be such a downgrade in processor and 12 gigabyte of RAM. So it's either keep this another year or could possibly sell it and get a Pixel 4a. We will see on that front. It's not a big deal either way. But this is definitely a far superior phone, so I'll likely keep it. See a lot of fingerprints on that, but that's just because the camera's picking up a tremendous amount. Yeah, that's all I've got. It's a great phone, and it's the 1 year plus review of it. And have a good one.